All right, ladies, welcome to this episode of the She is Extraordinary podcast. I am super blessed to be here with my coach, Jessica Yarbrough. And Jessica, I've been following her for years, and she has quickly developed a reputation of being one of the best business strategists. And I can tell you from working with her, even the short time that I have at this point, yeah, she is the best. And she's just the best at strategy and marketing and sales for entrepreneurs who want to sell high value products and services. And I can tell you, she is a genius at showing entrepreneurs like me how to build an expert platform, rapidly raise our value, build credibility online, and attract high paying clients. So welcome, Jessica.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me, Judy. I'm a big fan and been following your show for a while.
Oh, that is so neat. That's so awesome. Well, we're going to be talking today about questions related to the high ticket model. We're going to be sharing with the ladies listening your pathway, your methodology for establishing a high ticket expert business, generating $50,000 months and more. But first, Jessica, I'd love for you to share a bit about your background and your experience.
Yeah. So my background was in business and marketing. I got started really young, managing companies. I ended up building a startup company here in San Diego in my early 20s. And I was on the fast track to burnout. I literally was just pulling really intensive hours, making good money. I loved what I did, but wasn't really taking good care of myself. And so I kind of had this, I want to say, almost like a health crisis, like a moment in time / come to Jesus spiritual awakening type moment where I was like, this is awesome. I love what I've done. And I'm feeling called for something more. And there was a part of me that I had yet to explore and to heal and to love and to accept and to dive deeper into. So I actually walked away from the company that I built. I didn't discuss it with anyone. And I bought a one-way ticket to Southeast Asia. And I spent about 4 years traveling the world, really deepening my relationship with God, coming to understand who I am and what I really wanted for my life. I came back to the United States. I ended up pregnant with my daughter, which was another wake-up moment.
Because sure is, right?
Big wake up moment, because again, I wasn't planning to become a single mom, but here I was in this situation and I was so excited to be a mom. I was very, very blessed and joyful at the news of that, but also like, oh crap, I need to go make money and provide for her again, because I had really lived a life that was very, nomadic for the last couple of years. And so rather than go back and get a traditional job, I rolled up my sleeves and I raised my child on my own and I built my business from the ground up, which was the hardest thing that I've ever done.
Wow.
And I always tell women, if I can do it as the sole provider and zero experience with children. I was not someone raised, with little brothers and sisters or anything. If I can do it with what my minimal resources that I had at the time and the amount of pressure on me, then you absolutely can do it too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Can I, before I jump into your pathway?
Yeah.
I would love for you to go back in time, because I have no doubt that someone out there listening is in that low point and they really, really feel called to serve their ideal clients, in business, but they're just wondering, can I really do this? Like, can you just share how you felt or how you kept going when I'm sure you faced mountains, to overcome.
Yes. Yeah, the first few years in business were the hardest. I remember, and this is a moment that sticks out in time for me because my daughter was really young. I would say a few weeks old. It was that time where they're just very, very needy and you don't know what they want or anything. And I remember her crying, and I'm sure any mother can relate to this. There comes a moment where you just have to kind of put them in the crib and step outside for a moment. It's like, I need a break. And I had just started, consulting, doing some done for you marketing again, kind of getting my feet back into the business world because I stepped out of it for 4 years. And I remember I stepped outside. It was a sunny day. I looked up to the sky. I was crying because I was so overwhelmed. And I just said, God, if this is what I'm meant to do, if I am meant to build my consulting business and go on this path again, then I need you to give me a sign. I remember like literally begging, like, please give me a sign, please help me out. And several weeks later, I landed my biggest consulting client that carried us through financial stability for the next 6 months. I mean, it was like a huge contract, and it led to another one and another one and another one, because I got a bunch of referrals for it. And to me, just knowing in that moment, first of all, there was a surrender. There was like, I don't know what else to do. And then there was a surrendering and true asking, like, for a sign, because I do believe we are in communication, right? So I think that surrendering, that being vulnerable, being open, being willing to receive, and then trusting that, that I am divinely guided and I'm on the right path. And so I've always come back to faith, which I know you talk a lot about, and having that really unwavering faith in my abilities, and trusting that, life is going to throw you some curveballs. We know that it's not always going to be easy, but that I'm going to come out the other side, and that it is all part of the divine unfolding of my life. And that is what got me through the first 2 years of my building my business and raising my child.
Yeah. Wow. I just can't even imagine. I was a single mom, but my kids were much older. I cannot imagine having that pressure of being the sole provider and this new little baby. Because I remember when I was a first time mom, I remember I cried. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. All right. So let's talk about your specific methodology. You're all about high ticket, own your value. So what is your pathway?
Yeah, well, I will say that part of my journey, led me to this pathway, because like many entrepreneurs, we are pulled in a million different directions, call it shiny object syndrome, bombarded by advertisements saying, this is the way. So I went down the rabbit hole of, creating lots of courses and memberships and doing all these things that just left me exhausted. And really what I wanted to do was find a way to transform people's lives and make the biggest impact possible. And I also wanted to be able to live a balanced life where I could provide a good, healthy financial, abundance kind of for my family, but that also I would have time, because I saw so many people who are making, lots of money, and they literally ended up in divorce or rehab, or, you know what I mean? Like having a health crisis. And I'm like, that's not what I want to do. So this high ticket model was really born out of really that alignment and congruence with how I wanted to serve, and how I wanted to design my life. And, there's really 5 steps that I've identified to take you to 7 figures. And one is around offer. You have to know who you're serving, what you're selling, how you're going to provide that solution. What is your transformational pathway or method, and your why behind it. And all that allows you to make the impact that you desire. We then need to have marketing. You need to be able to position yourself as an expert, credible expert online, especially if you want to sell high ticket. You need to have an audience of people that are going to listen to you, that are going to take action, that energize you. And third, you need to have messaging that is highly relevant. We live in a world of distraction. You are competing with cute little cat videos, right? So we need to become relevant so that people say, Judy, you're the one for me. Jessica, you're the one for me. I resonate. There's a resonance between what you say and who they are. And then we need to have sales. We got to have sales, got to pay the bills, keep the lights on. And we need to understand how to pre-frame a sales conversation so that the person coming to it is really empowered and educated, and they know who you are. You're not going into a convincing place. You need to hold that container of a sales conversation and know how to cast the vision and show them what's possible in their life. And then you need to have, systems in place so that you're not on the phone with everybody. Your time is protected, and all of that leads to sales. And then we need to put in kind of your systems and team. And this is where we get automation and the people that are going to help you grow your organization and free up your time so you can focus on doing what you do best. And then finally, we have delivery, which is creating a great experience, making sure your clients get results. The more people you help, the more will want your help.
I love it. And it just makes sense. I mean, it's just so straightforward and I just love it. And now that I'm working with you, I just see even more how I've done many things. You and I chatted about that. I've spent upwards of six figures before working with you. And yeah, this is the one that's most aligned with me because of the strategic element. I'm a thinker. I'm a strategic person and I want freedom. I'm much older than you. I look forward to retirement or like time with the grandbaby. So yeah, that's really, really excellent. All right. Let me ask you a couple of questions that I'm sure come up for
Yep.
people when they think about high ticket and how could I do this? This model may not be for me. How do you sell? If someone says to you, how do I sell my expertise at these higher levels? And by the way, let's define what we mean by high ticket. Let's start there.
Well, high ticket means a lot of different things out there. So some people say high ticket's anything over 700 or it's 1500 or 3 or 5,000. And that is high ticket. For me, it's really focused on ultra high ticket. So it's how do you sell 25, 50, 75,000, 100, $250,000 plus programs. And what it starts with is, first of all, you have to have something to bring to the table, meaning you're not just someone who, hey, I've been working a retail job at a coffee shop and now you're coming to Jessica and you're saying, I want to charge $50,000 for life coaching. That's not an alignment. However, if you are someone who has education and experience and relevance in solving a problem, if you have a corporate background, if you've helped people like you're an entrepreneur, an existing entrepreneur who's helped transform people's lives, if you are someone who's been doing life coaching for 20 years, you're dedicated to it, or 10 years, you've helped transform people's lives, then we can get you into those higher value packages a lot faster. If you're totally new, you've got to have proof of concept and you got to do some groundwork before someone's going to pay you that kind of money. So that's really important to understand, right? But a lot of people have a tremendous amount of experience to bring to the table. So if you spent a decade in corporate solving problems, putting out fires, and you have that knowledge and you want to now take that knowledge into companies and charge them for training or coach their executive team, now that's something we can attach a high price tag to.
Okay, cool. And how do we find those clients, whether they be individuals or companies, what have you, that will be willing to pay 50, 100 grand, for a program or for a service?
Well, Judy, I love LinkedIn. It's my favorite social media platform. I know it's not the most shiny or exciting. You're not going to have fitness models, or, and you're not going to have the banter and comedy and the drama that's happening on Facebook, right? So not Instagram or Facebook, but as far as doing business and connecting with professionals, it is the best. I think I read somewhere that the average income for a Facebook user is around 50,000. The average income for a LinkedIn user is 75,000 to 90,000. And so you're working with a higher caliber person already that has a professional profile. So it's much easier to target them on LinkedIn than other networks. It's much easier to go into companies because you can target the decision makers, whether that's CEOs, head of operations, procurement, education, HR, all of those people are on LinkedIn. And so really the best way to attract high paying clients is to create that credibility and presence and to start to build those relationships on LinkedIn to drive leads to you.
Do you care to give any little secret side thing, more specifically on a strategy to, let's say, reach out to a CEO? There may be some ladies listening that are like, oh my goodness, I can't imagine. What would I say to this person? Because again, that goes to value. So that's a whole other thing. You've got to own your value. But what have you found to be most effective to even begin the conversation with these decision makers?
Well, first and foremost, don't spam people, or scrape their emails. That's really annoying, and add them to your list, anything like that, because that's going to take great potential leads away from you. And so absolutely, you do want to connect. You do want to create a relationship. You do want to add value. So I always like to lead with some kind of value. That's how I do with all my LinkedIn connections. I never like kind of get in there and say, hey, you're just in time for my webinar, slide into the inbox. I'm also not pushing a call right away. I'm really there to add value. And then there's an opportunity as the relationship progresses to allow them to come into a call. But you'd be surprised that first of all, just be lazy and connect to people. That's number one. Now, at least they're connected to you. And then add value. And sometimes just adding value, even without another follow-up message, and people will book a call. They're like, wow, that's really cool that you shared that with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to talk to you. And they'll just appear on your calendar. So you don't have to have the full shebang, the sophisticated strategy to get started, but personalized outreach messages, adding value, and not doing kind of any spammy internet marketing kind of stuff is going to go a lot further, faster on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I know. And isn't it funny how simple, but how effective? Because anymore, I can't even tell you the percentage of new connections, and they're right away pushing in my messages. I'm like, are you kidding? Anymore, I just disconnect if that's what they do from the get-go. It's ridiculous. But so that's cool.
Oh yeah, I was going to say one thing. Unfortunately, a lot of people hire the lead gen companies, okay, on LinkedIn, and those lead gen companies are the ones writing those messages, and they're pushing it. And so just be aware of that. If you do hire those companies, it's fine if you're going to use those kinds of companies to help automate or delegate that part of your process, but just be aware of that they can write some pretty spammy messages. And so you need to take control of your messaging around that.
Yeah, amen. Give them the script. This is what you need to say. Yeah,
exactly. Judy, you got it. And I know you're very relationship based. So I know this is, I'm preaching to the choir here.
Yeah. But it's good to emphasize, because sometimes women, we tend to overthink it. Oh, I need, Judy, tell me the magic words. There are none. Just be you and care. And so that kind of thing. All right. How about how to scale to the multi six figures, to $250,000 and beyond. I love how, by the way, months ago, I saw you do something about stop automating until you're ready. Like stop worrying about the systems until you have something going. So I'd love you to speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So many people come to me from programs where they've been sold on, webinars, Facebook ads, landing pages, one funnel away, all these different things, which are great tools. It's great to have all these shiny tools and these softwares and all of that. Most people just aren't ready for them, not from an expense or a time or anything. And so, yes, we want to use those tools to scale, but really what we want to focus on is on relationships. And I think I wrote a post. It's like, you don't need all these things. You don't need the PR. You don't need a TED Talk. You don't even need a website. What you need to do is care and be able to really want to help someone. You need to be able to solve a problem. You need to be able to get on the phone with those people, and you need to be able to tell them you have the solution. And that's all you need. And that's why all these other things we don't want to focus on until later. So we want to get you confident in selling. And then when we've got something proven, the way that we scale is we do need to automate your time, and we need to automate some of these tasks and reclaim your time. And we need to take you out of the center of the business. So when you are usually under $250,000, you typically are wearing all of the hats. You are the salesperson, the marketer, the copywriter, the coach, the social media marketer, everything, like the funnel builder, like literally you have to wear all of the hats, but that's not sustainable. So when you start to earn a bit more, then you can get your first strategic hire, your VA. And then as your program grows more, maybe you need a program coordinator. As your program goes more, maybe you're done writing copy and it's time to hire a copywriter. But we want to add these people when it makes sense, when you have the cash flow, when you have the systems in place to support it, when you're rock solid on your processes and you can kind of hand that off, you have, your SOPs created, and that's how you can really remove yourself as the bottleneck and scale, to multiple 6 and even 7 figures. And that is one of the hardest things, by the way.
What is that? Wait, which aspect of that was the hardest thing?
The people and processes. Building that out takes so much thought, because most of us are not documenting step by step the way that we do things. Most of the time we just do it. We get it done. Yep. And so having that process documented and having the right people in place I had a call with a gentleman earlier and he was like, God, I don't want to deal with hiring people. And I said, I'm sorry, I hate to tell you, it doesn't matter what size business you have. The people aspect is the hardest part, finding and great people and keeping them as people that are aligned with your vision. And even my friends who have 8-figure companies, they will say that the hardest thing is the people. And so it's just something that every entrepreneur has to deal with. And the more that you can embrace who you are and become a better leader and incentivize and, make sure you're treating people right, the better you're going to attract the right people in to support you and be part of your team.
Right. Quick to fire, quick to let go, but slow to hire. It's so funny. Today on my weekly mastermind and group coaching session, one of my clients said that. She's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I need to outsource something. How do I know when I'm ready? Because, I'm sure you can guess what she said. I'm a control freak. I'm a perfectionist. I don't want to let it go. And so we chatted through that. And I know, oh my goodness, I am the biggest control freak that you're ever going to see. And I'm a recovering perfectionist. So,
I call myself the same.
See, we're all like-minded in that. We women, I love it. All right. So this has been awesome. Last question. This is called the She Is Extraordinary podcast. So I would love for you, Jessica, to share the name and tell us about an extraordinary woman in your life and what makes her extraordinary.
That would definitely be my mom. Her name is Sherry Yarbrough. She's retired now, but she was a total badass. She was the head of National Association of Women in Construction. She was the head of education for a nonprofit here in San Diego. She was just a pioneer for women and minorities in a male-dominated industry back in a time where, women didn't even, women were still harassed in the workplace, and she really paved the way for so many people and transformed that industry. And it's mind blowing because I dabbled in it and I was like, this isn't for me. I was like, I'm not going into that world, but it was so amazing to watch her just make it in that world and to rise up to ranks and and be such a role model for me of a woman who could achieve career success and, raise a family and be a source of inspiration to know that, I can do the same.
That's awesome. And, I interviewed someone else earlier and guess what she said? Her mom. And I think more than anything, that's the extraordinary women that are being identified because moms are so amazing. And it's kind of pressure for us as moms I had a strong mother too. So we look and we go, oh gosh, what kind of mother am I going to be? But it's great to have wonderful mother role models because it really helps us to pave the way to know how to sacrifice and know how to stand in in that responsibility with boldness and courage, because it takes that, right? It totally takes that.
And to show that to our kids, right?
Yes. To show them, talk about possibilities. I'm all about pursue the impossible, showing your children, whether they be boys or girls, that if you want it, go get it.
That's right.
Yeah. I love that. All right. So how can the ladies listening find you? Where can they find you and find out more?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Just let me know you heard me on this show. And then you can also find me at jessicayarbrough.com.
Awesome. Well, Jessica, thank you so much. What an amazingly packed message here that we have for the ladies. High ticket, ladies. Stop playing with charging by the hour. Stop thinking small. If you have this expertise and you've been doing what you do for a while and you're getting excellent results for your clients, it's time to expand your thinking and really go for it and be that woman that God made you to be. So thanks again, Jessica.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Ladies, if you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment and leave a rating and a review. It means so much. And also, by the way, let me know of other guests you'd like me to have on the show and other topics you'd like us to cover. So thanks again for listening, and we will catch you next time.